specific profiles, make sure you have your stuff in order. They're going to lead. They're going to want to lead, so you have to be a better leader for that individual.
And then something else I was talking to Eric Brewer the other day. He was talking about his new favorite people to hire are people that have coaching experience.
We've had that conversation.
Yeah. So you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. So coaches have passion. It's my, I think we've talked about this on Partner Disruption. If I left real estate, what would I do? If I left CG, what would I do? I would go immediately back into a summer basketball program in a high school and say, you don't have to worry about paying me. I want to be a coach here. And that's what I did in Kansas before we moved. I worked remotely for CG for 2 years. I coached a summer basketball program, 15 and 16-year-olds. And then I, luckily enough, was able to springboard that into an assistant job at a high school for a varsity and junior varsity team. And I can tell you that every coach that I've coached with that is a full-time coach, probably most of them are teachers. They're underpaid, underappreciated, and they put in the most hours of anybody. And they're already natural leaders.
Yeah.
Like, why did I'm attracted to coaching because it's my way, it's my ministry of giving back to youth. I had single mom, 4 boys. I didn't have a father figure in my life. My coaches were my father figures, the best father figures I had in my life. And those coaches, they weren't doing it for the money. Clearly, they weren't doing it for the money, driving up in a hoopty to practice, right? But they came in, they gave us everything. No matter what their day was like, they gave us everything. And so those individuals, Eric sees this. You know, Eric's son just got a full scholarship to play basketball. He's a really good athlete, sneaky good athlete, and I'm sure was really good. I've seen some of his high school tape when he actually had hair. Ask him to show you that if you hadn't seen it. But he's spot on, because find people that are natural leaders, underappreciated, overworked, and underpaid. How could that not be someone that you would want on your team? And they're connected. Most coaches have coached. Like when I walk in, I had a father that we lived close to each other when I first moved to Tampa. Hadn't seen him in a while. And we had just gotten done with basketball practice at our YMCA. I'm still coaching, but I'm only coaching my 11, 12-year-olds, my son. We walk in, and every kid is like, hey, coach, and not just my team. And I've only coached there for a year. It's connected me to the community. Parents are saying, hey, how are you doing? Good to see you, coach. It connected me to a bunch of people, and I've only been in that community. I've only been coaching in that community for a year. His guys that he's coaching or that he's hiring have been coaches in that York metro area for 10, 20, 30 years. So there's just so many positives that can come from it.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to update my avatar. We had Patrick Leggins on the show a few weeks ago, and he mentioned that during the interview, I knew he had a checkered past. I was like, hey, did you ever deal any drugs? He's like, all right. I was like, okay, cool. You can work here. Because they have hustle.
There's hustle. There's hustle. I grew up in a neighborhood that a lot of my friends sold drugs. That was there's a lot of neighborhoods where drug dealers are the role models because they drive nice cars and fancy jewelry and all those type of things. And so, but they're not lazy.
They're not lazy.
They're not lazy. And if you have moved past that and you're on the straight and narrow, then you know what hustling looks like. There's no doubt about that. Again, you can't say, you can't tell me you don't know how to hustle. Show me what you did when you sold drugs.
I mean, and it was like an epiphany because when I was running my brokerage, I just looked around to see who the most successful realtors in my brokerage were. And the ones that, surprisingly, mavericks.
Yes.
Right? And it's like, these are the ones that dealt in the past and never got in trouble.
Is that why you're attracted to misfits? Is because you've seen, like, you call them misfits. When you say that, all I can think about is the land of misfit toys.
That's exactly that's the analogy I use.
That's all I can think about. You're attracted to them. Why? Because they're they're trying to overcome something from the past?
That has a soft spot for me, but that's not the reason why.
Okay.
The reason why is because the people I attract, and also even though I did everything by the book growing up,
Yeah.
I did it in the gray line area.
Okay.
Right? So like I was always like, what are the rules so that I can like
Sure.
manage around them?
You
So
would have driven me nuts, but okay.
yeah, right. So I attract these people, and these are people that generally won't fit in any. It's like putting a square peg in a round hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just turns out when I say we attract misfits, apparently they're just all mavericks.
Oh, so
Right.
there's some science behind it. They're
Yeah.
not just misfits. They are driven by they're motivated. They don't need your motivation. They're individually motivated.
They're motivated. They got inner drive,
Yep.
and rules just aren't for them,
Mm.
right? And I was like, hey, I can work with this. I will put parameters in place
You got bumpers.
where you don't have to follow the rules, right? We will I built my entire brokerage based off of like whatever you need,
Yep.
so you can go out and sell. I'll take care of the rest.
Yeah.
I'll take care of the transaction coordinating. I'll take care of the lock boxes. I'll take care of the signs. I'll take care of the paperwork.
Yep.
Whatever you got to do to go out there and sell, right? Because I know you can hustle and sell. I'll generate the leads. You sell. I'll clean up your mess.
It's a great lesson. It's a great lesson for anybody that's listening to this that's looking to hire, especially salespeople.
Yeah.
When I first took over the market in Hawaii, the state was that particular piece of the business was not doing well,
Mhm.
mainly because they hadn't navigated the transition between print and digital
Yeah.
at all.
Right.
And it was a local company bought out by a big conglomerate, so that had something to do with it as well. And I just said to the team from the beginning is there will be zero excuses for you to not have success here. Here's why. Here's what I commit to you. Number one, you'll be trained.
Mhm.
I will train every single week. You will have a full training, very similar to the training calls that you do.
Mhm.
I did one of those for my team in person. Probably would have been done better back in the day if we had Zoom virtually, but in person, every meeting, I was doing something on what I was hearing from the streets. I was out with them, right? The second part is that I said, I'm going to take every obstacle. I've listened to you now, and you all told me that the CRM stinks. Contracts are this or contracts are that. I'm going to streamline as many things as possible. So the last thing I can hear from you is that it can't be done or I can't do it. So what happens in that particular, you set your people up that are mavericks especially to have success, and those that are not are going to weed themselves out. You'll never have to fire anybody if you do that.
Right.
Never, because you have told them I'm taking all the excuses away from you, so just go perform.
Yeah.
The cream will rise.
Go hustle. Right. And looking back now, it makes all sense in the world. But at the time, I'm just kind of like trying to put this thing together. Like, all right, these guys like sales. They just don't like everything before it or after it.
Yep.
I'll take care of the rest. Like, so yeah, I mean, looking back, right, I was paying for leads, and then I was paying for VAs to call the leads to set up appointments.
Yep.
And then I would pay VAs to listen to calls, to transcribe the notes.
Yep.
Just so all you have to do.
I would say
So.
to start, that's a great plan. I think you can evolve over time, your
now we know
talent level
PI
and PI and
leadership
those
and
type
this
of
and that,
things.
yeah.
But, I think it's a great lesson for those that understand that the performers in any setting, there's always going to be cream, and it's generally a 20, 80, 80-20 rule. The 20 is going to do 80% of the work, especially when you're starting making sure that you take all of the hurdles that are potentially coming up for those individuals. Now, that said, you also have to be careful if that individual continues to grow, they're going to have more expectations potentially upon that. But those people just normally just want to be left alone and paid well.
Yeah.
Now, that, as we've learned, sometimes mavericks aren't the best to continue to scale with, but definitely to grow with out of the gates.
What the challenge eventually was like, man, this is really easy. I can go do this myself. It's like, you have no idea.
That's my point.
Everything I put in to make this
that's
work.
the point, right? Is that individual has gotten, I did all this. Well, yes, you did. Thank you. But at the same time, do you remember this, all of these checklist things that I've done for you to be successful? You won't have those if you go and try to do this on
It's
your
funny.
own.
We actually had some people leave recently, and they're like, wow, like you guys made it really easy here. We
Yeah.
had no idea.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm looking at the analytics, and right now half of you guys are not subscribed. That is unacceptable. Hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss another episode.